How's it going, guys? My name is Jason and this is Learn, Build, Repeat. In today's video, I'm gonna show you the simplest way to make picture frames with that cool vintage look. All you need is some Home Depot trim, a 2x4, some picture frame clamps, black paint, and some gold paste. I'll have a link below for all the tools and items I've used in this project so you guys can build along. And of course, you're gonna need a picture to go along with it. So, step one is measuring everything and cutting the trim. I got this trim from Home Depot. It cost $25 for 8 feet, which is insanely expensive. You don't need to use this trim, but I just kind of like it, so I'm going with it. You could easily use just a flat trim or even a 2x4 that you cut down if you want to save some money. And if you guys are curious where I got this painting from, I actually bought it from a place called Round Top here in Texas. They have these antique fairs twice a year and you can find all these sorts of things there. I bought this oil painting for $150, which honestly is a bargain, but it is kind of damaged. I literally found it with rain falling on it, so it has a few spots where it's worn through quite bad. But honestly, I just kind of like the patina, so I'm gonna leave it. All right, with that being said, let's take some measurements and start building. Okay, it's 35 by 48. These are 2 3/4 thick. Yeah, and that will be 52.5. All right, let's cut these down on the miter saw. Before I do, I always put in my earplugs because I don't want to mess my ears up. All right, I'm gonna leave them 1 inch long before I cut them down to final. All right, now let's cut the miters. So to do this, I'm going to actually just clamp them together and do it both at the same time, so that way I know they're exactly the same. Which is kind of the most challenging part about this. And I just totally messed up. Okay, don't do what I just did. I meant to keep this like rope pattern on the outside and I accidentally put it on the inside on this one. Shoot, I might need to go get another piece of trim. Unless one of these is long enough, I don't think it is. Darn, it's 42 inches, not enough. All right, well, hold please while I go get more trim.
A few moments later.
All right, one Home Depot trip later and we're back in business. Now we do not want to make that same mistake, so let's actually mark what we're trying to do. Okay, as long as we don't take the clamps off, we won't lose, they'll be aligned. So going back, we need this 52.5. So 52.5 puts us right there. I don't know if you guys saw that spark, but that's the second time that's happened to me on this new blade. I just bought it yesterday. Oh, you know what just happened? Look at that. Look at that. There was a piece of metal in there. Too bad. Oh well. All right, let's just do a quick fit. I didn't actually cut it all the way down yet. I'm just doing a quick fit. You know, that might be fine actually where it is. You know what? Stick it to the plan. I'm gonna take off another smidge. And I know I'm gonna hit that piece of metal again. Oh well. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna do the other ones and I'll see you in a moment. All right, there's the other 2 pieces. And they should be perfect. You want them just a little bit smaller than the frame, so. Sorry, the canvas. So, let's do the glue up. Now for the glue up, this is probably the trickiest part of the whole build. And the reason for that is we have to glue and then use these picture frame clamps. So the idea behind these is that they just open up like this and then you kind of put them on. All right, here's everything I need. Glue, picture frame clamps, the wrench to put them on, or whatever this is called, and a little bit of paper towel to clean up the squeeze out. So nothing but to do it. And because it's like 90 above in here, I have to move pretty quick. Look at that. All right, now we're gonna come back in a day and see how it looks. All right, it's been about 8 hours since we last spoke. And here it is. I realized after turning the camera off that I needed to go ahead and use the other 4 clamps just on the inside. They do make these little holes, like you'll see a hole when I pull that out. I don't know if you can see it. But that is why God made wood fillers. So I'm gonna pull these out and fill the holes. All right, let's have a little look-see to make sure it's actually glued up. Yeah. All right, well that's dry. I'm gonna move on to the next part. I'm gonna come back to this and I'll probably sand it. Might sand that off camera because that's very boring. But the next step is to actually make the thing that the canvas will kind of sit in or attach to in the frame. I'm not sure if there's a name for it. There probably is, but I don't know. And that's why we have this 2x4. I got the straightest 2x4 I could find at Home Depot. Hopefully it's straight enough. And so the idea the idea behind this 2x4 is I'm gonna cross cut it, rip it, so that it fits just around the edge, just around this whole, canvas thing. And then the 2x4 that I cut down is gonna be attached to the back of the frame, and then the canvas, I should just be able to push it in. So I already know the dimensions of the canvas, 35 inches by 48 inches. So I'm gonna make that thing probably half an inch bigger, and that way there should be a little play and I should be able to like shim it up if I need to. Although I kind of suspect that the edges of the canvas will take up any of that slack. So I'm gonna start cutting this thing down and just make a simple box. All right, now it's time to rip these down. So I'm just gonna rip off one side on each, and then I'm gonna cut 1-inch strips of them. Get my push stick. Yeah, and in case you're wondering, that frame down there is a failed attempt at this video. All right, now that I have 2 good sides, I bowed a little bit, I am going to rip them down to 1 inch because I believe, actually I need to double check this before I actually do anything. Oh man, I actually love this painting. Next antique show, I'm gonna go there and see if I can't get like 10 of them. Decorate the whole house. And yes, this is actually going in my house. Okay, there we go. So what I'm doing now is I just want to make sure an inch won't be like too much material. You guys probably can't see this, but I'm just double checking. Yeah, I go up 2 inches. Inch is perfect. I was way more stressful than I needed to be, but yeah, there's definitely that knot down there in the wood. I don't know if you guys can see it, but see that bend at the end? Should be okay. I mean, all it's gotta do is hold the picture frame in there, so. I mean, it's already cut, so let's give it a shot. All right, the plan for this joinery is very simple. I'm just gonna use glues, brad nails to hold it, and then I'm gonna drill and screw in one of these 2.5 inch construction screws. All I need is one of them. This doesn't have to be that strong, and the brad nails provide a lot of shear support. So let's get to it. Yeah, I always pre-drill on pine. Actually, I always pre-drill every time now, unless it's something truly scrappy. Because if you don't pre-drill, half the time you're gonna split it and gonna destroy your joint. And honestly, that kind of ruins the entire piece. All right, let's lift it. I don't have to weight it at all because the screw's there. The question is, did I get it the right size? Yes. A little looky-loo. I don't know if I said it before, but this is actually going to be mounted on the inside of the frame, and then this is how it's going to sit on the wall. It'll also add a lot of strength to the frame. So, frame sitting over there. Let's combine the two. All right, off camera, I was kind of wondering how I was actually gonna like center the bottom part to the top of the frame. And I did some figuring, and I just realized that I could just use my trusty ruler and just from the outside of this, measure to the, like, see that? From the outside of this, measure to the inside lip where it's flat underneath. And then I can get my clearances. I realized one more thing. When I actually do mount this, you're gonna be able to see these screws on the wall, because I'm not planning on putting trim over there. So in order to get around that, I'm gonna take the screws out once the glue dries, because they're providing all the clamping force right now. And I'm just gonna fill it in with wood putty, and then I'm gonna prime it and paint it black, so easy. All right, we're back the next day. Let's see if we can't fix those screw holes I made. So, I was wondering, how big is this thing anyway? Can we just use a dowel? 3/8. Maybe we can actually just use a dowel. Because right here, I've got a couple 3-inch dowels, 3/8 dowels. So, new plan. I want to keep the screws because they'll add strength. I'm just going to cover them up with dowels. I wish I had non-fluted, but by the way, these glue bots, they kind of suck. I don't recommend them. The reason is because they just keep getting clogged up at the nozzle. It's better just to buy those. I think they're like 1 quart size. Okay, with all the sanding done and these little holes covered up, it's actually time to mount this to the frame sitting over, don't look at my computer, sitting over there. I have my other work stuff on it. Don't want to show that. Yeah, so I just gotta mount it over, lift it up, put it down, and away we go. For this, I'm gonna be using, I think, mostly glue and clamps, but in order just to seat it in place, I will use a brad nailer. Probably 2 brad nails just to keep it in place as I move things around. All right, let's do it. All right, there she is, all clamped up. Well, let it sit there overnight and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, let's pop these off and see how it looks. All right, for the next step, we gotta prime it. I think I still have some primer left somewhere. I'm just gonna use this guy on there. That should be good enough. All right, there we go, first coat of primer. I think this might have been a case where it probably would have been faster to spray because of all these little details in there. I really had to get in. Even though it doesn't look like much, and generally when it's this small of a project, I just paint it, don't spray it. But I think with the black paint, I'm just gonna spray it, so. Anyway, let's let this dry. All right, it's been a few days and I've primed both sides and it's ready to go for black paint now. I have to leave to go to Houston in about 3 hours, so I'm gonna try and get the whole thing done before I go. I'm gonna start on the back side, flip it over, and then do the top side. So I'm gonna use this guy, this Graco paint sprayer thing. Honestly, I don't really like it, but it does work sort of, so it's good enough, better than trying to use my paintbrush to get it all the green. So let's fill this up and paint some stuff. All right, there she's done, sit behind me, all painted black, all good to go. The next thing is to make it look vintage, which is gonna require this gilding wax. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but I'll have a link below in the description. All you're supposed to do is just rub it on, so let's do that now. All right, just take a little bit and ooh, that looks so cool. That goes a long way, oh my goodness. That looks so cool. Oh my goodness, I love it. All right, there, completely done. Let's wait for this to dry and then I'm gonna mount that photo back there, or that canvas back there, and do a big reveal. And there it is, guys. It's mounted on the wall and it's looking fantastic. I can't believe I found this picture for $150 at an antique show here in Texas, because it honestly looks a lot more expensive. If you guys want to build this frame, I'll have links to all the items and tools I used in the description, and I'll have a whole bunch of B-roll for this thing in just a moment. If you guys like this content, then please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.